I think we who have been privileged enough to have these opportunities at companies now have a platform to challenge the people that we work with, the organizations that we work in, to really stay true to the values we espouse in our mission statements.
The work of our next guest touches the lives of millions around the world. As head of Facebook's Entertainment and Media Global Marketing Solutions, Madati is at the forefront of one of the largest online social media brands. But it's his efforts on behalf of local children that may have the greatest impact. A founding board member for Brooklyn Excelsior Charter School and chairman of the board for Atlanta Heights Charter School, Madati is an education advocate, fighting for quality schools for students in low-income communities. Ever mindful of the educational opportunities given to him and their impact on his success, Madati is determined to give back the ultimate gift, a future.
So your name is K. Madati. K is a nickname that's short for Kilan Negalo. Did I pronounce it right?
You got it right.
So tell us a little bit. What are the origins of that?
K or Kilan Negalo?
Kilan Negalo.
Kilan Negalo. I'm a Tanzanian citizen at birth, and I'm told it is a family name, but who knows?
So you're born in Tanzania?
I was not born in Tanzania. I was born in Norway, of all places. A lot of Africans in Norway, and I came early. I was a surprise, a little bit early. So I was born there, and then I moved back to Tanzania for a little while.
What was your mother doing in Norway?
Both my parents, both my real parents, were diplomats.
But you grew up in the United States.
It's a long, torrid tale, but yeah, we lived in England from about 1974 to about 1985. And it was my mother, my brother, and I. And then eventually she got sick and ended up passing away when I was 13 and my brother was 12. And we were, I literally say, taken in by two family friends who had known my mother from once we were young. They were two Americans, two white Americans who had worked in Tanzania for the first 2 years of my life. And they stayed in touch, and they were sort of like extended family to us while we were in England.
Your mother dies, and then what happens?
Well, so she was actually sick for about a year, and in and out of hospital a lot. But it got to a point where 6 months before she passed, she was pretty much in hospital for the rest of the stay. My guardian parents or adopted parents, Tom and Tosh, one of them flew over to London in that last 6 month period about once every month. And so we got used to seeing them, and then at some point, somewhere along the way, they pulled us aside and asked us, hey, if the worst happens, how would you guys feel about coming to live with us? Which, you know, I don't know, as a 12-year-old, you kind of nod and you say, oh, whatever. Didn't really have a sense that it would ever get to that point. But clearly it did, and they happened to be in London at the time that she got very, very sick, and then ended up passing away. And you know, as I think back to that time, it all feels like the last 2.5 months collapsed down to a very short period of time where everything moved really quickly. Well, all of a sudden, Mom's gone, it's me and my brother, and then all of a sudden, Tom and Tosh are here, and they're saying we're going to move you to the States, and you're going to come live with us, and we're packing up the house, and selling the house, and there's a funeral service, and before you know it, you're in New York. Adjusting. I joke with my friends that it was real life different strokes. You know, two black kids who come live with two white kids on the Upper East Side of New York, and that makes my youngest brother Kimberly, if you follow the show, which he hated as he grew up with us. But that's effectively what happened. Life kind of changed, and you know, as I look back as an adult on it, I think it's just a great story of people. And if you ask my parents, my adopted parents about it, they would say that you don't you don't throw people that you love out onto the street. It's as simple as that for them. It wasn't ever a question of, do we watch them go into the social system in England, or do they move back to Tanzania? It was like, these are people that they love, and that they were going to take on the responsibility, the emotional and the financial responsibility of raising them. Like, it's a good story about people.
So now you're a teenager, thrown into New York, living this different strokes life.
Yeah.
Is like that a tough adjustment?
For a kid who grew up in English, if you know anything about the English system, I had never aspired to go to college. I never actually thought I would. Thought I wouldn't, wasn't even going to take the O levels or the A levels in England. I was prepared to go into the working class in England, because I never thought I was smart enough for these kinds of things. And then you arrive at a school and you have teachers telling you, you can be anything you want to be. You can run for student council president. You can be captain of the soccer team and the track team. I mean, these are things that happened for me, like leadership opportunities, or the fact that you were told that you're not dumb, and you can, if you work at things, you can be whatever that you want to be. So I have a fondness that probably began for education and its effect on a person's life.
You're now an executive at Facebook. Do you feel like the world of technology is a world where there's more opportunity for people of color, or less?
I think, I don't think opportunities in technology are surfaced as an avenue for success to people of color. I don't think schools focus on it. I was on the advisory committee for Spelman College in Atlanta for a long time, and I used to have a debate with then President Jonetta Cole and then the follow-up president as well, that the school overemphasized graduate schools and graduate studies and law and secondary schools as a path, and underemphasized business and entrepreneurship and these other kinds of avenues. Listen, it's working at a startup that might fail and getting paid $20,000 a year is a risky proposition, even for a kid, especially if you come out of school and you got loans and things like that. So I don't think these opportunities are surfaced to people of color as much, which means more of those Silicon Valley companies need to be more proactive about recruiting across the board, at telling the story that this is a place for people of color, and that innovation and diversity actually lead to some of the biggest breakthroughs in this business.